Yeah, I would request all of you to please come in the first seat so that we can have a face-to-face interaction with the people who are joining online. And Professor Chandan Bose will be handling this panel discussion.
Okay, thank you everyone for being with us actually. It's a long day, but I hope that all these expert talks actually enlightened us with the real life applications, and I learned a lot because mostly I come from academia and I have limited experience in working in the industry, and mostly I worked in the industry of fluid mechanics or civil engineering. So I think it's a great learning experience for me, and I hope that all the audiences have also learned more, and the students, if there are some students in the audience, they have got enough motivation to learn more about in-depth CFD techniques, particularly the use of open source tools. So I have all our advisory board members that we onboarded today with us to have a discussion, and I have also requested Professor Somnath Roy from IIT Kharagpur to join. Probably he will join if he can get out of the meeting he is in, so that we can get a broader perspective from the academic side, because he is one of the leading CFD developers in the country. So, and from my perspective also, again, we are interested in developing both in-house computational fluid dynamics code as well as developed under the open source software or open source libraries like OpenFOAM. So let us try to discuss some of these aspects from your perspective of an industry. So the first question probably I will ask, and you can one by one answer. So through the expert talks that you have provided, some of you actually are completely based on OpenFOAM or open source tools, and you are trying to promote it, and based on that you are using it for your company or organization. Some of you are using only commercial tools, mostly because of the legacy of the company, or you are trying to get into the open source domain, and some of you interestingly are using both. Like in some process you are using commercial CFD softwares, and in some processes you are using open source softwares. So what are the pros and cons of the commercial CFD software? We already know. We know one of the major impact is the cost impact. The license costs are very high. And the second point, we already know that it's almost like a black box, because due to proprietary software issues, we do not get to see how we are implementing these CFD techniques. So on the other hand, I would like to ask your experiences on what do you feel about transitioning to an open source domain, or starting with an open source computational fluid dynamics domain. What are the challenges do you see, and what are the opportunities you see? So what are the challenges versus opportunity? So if I may request one by one, if you take your views on that.
So first of all, commercial software, in terms of commercial software, makes you lazy. So the proper word will be a lazy. Because I know during my BTech, I started as a fluent, and once I see the user interface of the fluent, you will get the addicted of it. Then it's hardly possible to you get open source software, because once you are paying the money, they are giving you good interface. That's what the drawback. And if you want to add up the OpenFOAM, I think it's best to order when you are in academic, because that's what you are starting of the career. Now I started with Fluent. It's way hard for me to get a platform like OpenFOAM, because this commercial software addicted me and made me a crazy or lazy, I would say. And I don't want to spend my lot of time on solving equations, solving bug. Instead, I would like to pay money for the licenses and get the work done quickly. So that's what my experience.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So if we think about this, we can put this in three ways. Okay. One is software support. When if we are stuck, an engineer may not have time to. First of all, the proprietary software is the bonnet's not open. You cannot go in and fix the code. You have to approach support. And the commercial tools, they provide support on call. I mean, you call them and they tell you if it's going to work or not. Second is responsibility of solving the problem. Like if you are working on something urgent and you need the results very quickly and the solver is not able to solve it, the commercial tool can take a responsibility and tell you your problem is difficult, you won't be able to solve it quickly. Okay, so it's not up to the engineer who knows the in and out of the code telling the management that my code can't do it. It is the commercial tool who takes the responsibility. Our tool, what we are providing you, is not able to solve it. We will include it in the next version or something like that. We have taken it up for development. Third is, and this one is pretty odd. It's from the IT perspective, it's from security. Okay, now I have struggled to get OpenFOAM on board at Waptec for the past couple of months. And one issue is, IT told me this is an open source software, anyone can contribute it, anyone can make a backdoor in it and hack into Waptec systems. Okay, I told that's very unlikely. The software goes through a lot of review and this may not be a valid reason for not allowing OpenFOAM inside. Last week, suddenly I got access to OpenFOAM. You won't believe it. Okay, so now I can implement OpenFOAM inside, but this was IT stance for the past 8 months.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
very good insights. We can discuss it later.
Yeah, in IRS we use both OpenFOAM and commercial softwares. But the way commercial software is moving towards, as per my perception, they are moving towards cloud-based computations mostly. After some time, they may stop their perpetual licenses, and they will be moving to cloud-based. So whatever simulations we need to do, we need to pay for it. So as of now, if you have our own like foam or something, we can n number of simulations. Now, as of now, okay, commercial, they will professional, we can do n number of simulations and we can run it. But when it comes to cloud-based kind of thing, so every error, sometimes we can't make a simulation perfect in a one go. So for that also we need to pay for it. So in conditions we can't able to afford it. So we need to move towards the open source things like kind of OpenFOAM for our CFD things and other softwares for other purposes. So FOSSEE is taking towards the right directions. So only currently is like what makes difficult to using OpenFOAM, we don't have a proper GUI and interface. That FOSSEE is working and I am also working towards it. So in future we can make through it. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm from academia, so I'll speak something related to academia. But before joining academia, I was working as a CFD engineer in a German company. So where I know what problems, so what as an engineer we used to face. So while working in company, I realized we were doing the repetitive jobs and we are using tools like commercial tools. So where we won't learn much thing, but we were doing clicking those buttons. So with the pros of OpenFOAM, we have the ability to learn. So that's what a positive point about OpenFOAM. But then comes negative thing is we have the time issue. So if we have to learn something, then you have to spend a lot of time, because companies, if they face if you face any problem, since you are the purchaser of a license, so you get the help from the company. So they solve your problem. But in OpenFOAM, if you are stuck somewhere, then you are the one who are heading, or you are the one who will put your head onto wall and you have to struggle a lot. So that is where I think FOSSEE, with FOSSEE we are trying to do with the students.
I think, the same point came out again, and we will discuss these things. It's a major issue of the responsibility, right? Yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
So I don't think there is much left to be said because all the points almost are covered. But still, it is about the blame. Who will take the blame at the end of the day? So will it be the software company who is selling the software, or will it be the company who is executing the project? So for commercial softwares, the blame can be easily transferred. But when you go for open source, you have to take the blame. So that is one thing which happens between commercial and open source. And the second thing is open source, especially OpenFOAM, is better if students start using it from their academic years, because it teaches you a lot about the basics that you need to set up while doing a simulation. The first thing that you need to set up in transport properties is the kinematic viscosity of the fluid if you want to simulate anything in OpenFOAM. But most of the ANSYS users don't even have idea about kinematic viscosity because they don't need to. ANSYS automatically takes the value from its database and enters it into their GUI. So that's why people can't learn much in depth about CFD if they use only commercial tools. So they should switch between commercial and open source tools as and when required. Just try and see and gauge whatever your problem is and which tool will solve it fast. At the end, we are here to solve CFD problems, whatever tool it may be. Thank you.
Thank you. So I am from academia, but some idea with the industry. So the two things I feel the transition is difficult, because one thing is the operating software. Like if you are using Windows, you already become lazy. Now you want to use OpenFOAM. Now fortunately OpenFOAM is now available for Windows also. Yes. But the way it works is totally different from Windows. You are not habitual. So it looks difficult from shifting to something where you have to put your brain. So I think one of the things can be do to improve the usage of OpenFOAM and all open source software is that we shift to Linux based operating system rather than Windows, which will save the money and also again promote the, because the command structure and everything is similar to OpenFOAM. So that will have the transition simple, because you will not feel any difference because you are already aware of it. Second thing I feel, and from the industry, as they have rightly pointed out, if your client have constrained you to use ANSYS, whether you like it or not, you are expert in OpenFOAM, they won't accept result in other than ANSYS. So we have to talk to industry. We have to discuss with them what exactly is their need, that if we fulfill that, they will accept the results based on OpenFOAM. That will help to extend the usage of OpenFOAM in the industry. Otherwise, it will become only an academic affair. We all are discussing. It will be students are learning, but industry won't accept. At the end, you have to shift to some commercial software or like this.
Yes, true.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I think this kind of dialogues between the academia and industry is needed, so that we can understand where are the challenges and how can the academia or people who are spending a lot of time developing new tools or developing new frameworks can then be integrated to the industry. But again, it is not easy. Of course, I think I will come to the point which I discussed in a bit of quite a few panels, is that the mindset of the senior authorities in our industry, right, and also the client, as you said. So we have to convince them in a way that the open source tools can achieve the similar things in an easier way, in a more economic way, and that's where probably we need more of these discussions which reaches to them and then starts convincing them, right? So I'll go to our online advisory board members. We can start with Advait. Advait, do you want to share your views on that?
Right, right. I mean, definitely, there's a lot of resistance in industry in adopting OpenFOAM. But one thing that I've noticed that when it comes to very cutting edge technologies, especially when we talk about defense and military. In those areas, the realization has come that commercial imported software, there has to be an alternative to that. They're not fully moving away, but they're definitely investing heavily on developing indigenous software, if not fully, but if not fully, then in that case, at least utilizing the existing open source libraries. A lot of amazing codes are written at Los Alamos, Sandia Labs, Lawrence Livermore, not just OpenFOAM, uh, and they are heavily exploring those codes. So I think 2 years ago I felt it was a very different story, but today I feel very positive working on OpenFOAM. By the way, we work 100% on OpenFOAM. We do not have a single Windows computer in our office. Everything is on Linux. Everything is on open source software. And I think at the end of the day, if you deliver good results to the clients, especially clients who really care about CFD, they don't pressurize us to use ANSYS or other software. I mean, we haven't faced that problem personally, but yeah, you have to deliver accurate and good results with the ownership as well if something goes wrong. So those are my views on that.
Right. Uh, can I go to Dr. Day if he's there?
Yeah, so yeah, it was a very interesting discussion. So here I would like to post a new dimension to this discussion, because what is happening is, like a place like NAL, we have liberty of using commercial codes as well as our in-house codes as well as the open source codes. So generally the debate which we will be conventionally come across is like a open source versus a proprietary code. But here, when I have spoken with the different groups who are dealing with the CFD simulation, I have also come across debates happening on in-house codes versus open source codes, and surprisingly, open source code versus an open source code. For example, I just, in the second part of my presentation, I have showed Dr. TNV's work, where they have used open source code, OpenFOAM. For sometimes they were using it for even the aircraft programs. And then at one stage, when I checked with them, they said no, they have switched over to SU2, which is the unstructured code from Stanford University. So always there will be, sort of a debate on these. It need not be that it will be only an open source versus a commercial. We can also see that the transition can also be questioned based on these kind of observations. But of course, at the end of the day, it is more like, what is your application, especially for people like us who are trying to solve scientific problems. We will see that finally which tool is being is going to help us to solve our problem, and then we adopt to that particular tool. We have that liberty at NAL to do, unlike many of the industries or even academia, to be very much strictly confining it to the tools. So this is one thing which I would feel that we should also think about, that it's not just that we have to compare the framework with a proprietary another proprietary tool, but it could be even an open source tool which which will nullify those advantages, like there is no licensing required, or it's a venue independent solution for our solving our problem. So I think that will be something which we can even discuss in detail with some of my colleagues in the later stage, maybe in the forthcoming days, and see how OpenFOAM can be made more versatile, and with the coders that are there in the academia, it will be really a good thing to look into this aspect also. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree about that. That choice of open source code is not only about OpenFOAM. There are, as you said, SU2. Even for both academic and my consultancy project, I use both SU2 and OpenFOAM depending on what is the nature of the problem, what can most accurately solve our results, right? So when we talk about compressible flows and like supersonic problems, of course, a code which is based on compressible formulation of the CFD, which will give us more accurate results for sure. And when basically, even if when we are solving for incompressible flow situations, even if like our Mach number is very low, but if we use a compressible flow solver, we can get closer results, but actually if we use an incompressible formulation, that is more desired. So in that case, like of course it depends on the nature of the problem, but in both the cases, SU2 and OpenFOAM, they are open source. We can look into the code base, we can see what kind of formulation they have implemented in the code and what equations we are solving. Yeah, I completely agree. Thanks, Dr. Dey. Can I go to the go to others? Can I ask Arnav that in TCS research you mentioned that you completely use commercial softwares. So in terms of using commercial softwares, what do you think how these open source tools can complement that?
Thank you, Dr. Bose, for the question. So, yeah, I did not mention that we exclusively use commercial software. So, it is a mix of the open source as well as the commercial. The thing is, with not only TCS research, but also I'm telling you as a whole in industry, what happens, we generally have less time and we need to deliver the results, right? So in the most of the time, there is no time for learning for the newcomers. Okay, so you just need to learn how you can run the software and all, and you need to deliver the results. So let's say if you are doing turbulence modeling and all, so just you click the RANs, this model, and it will automatically give you the results. Now the thing is, I have been in many industries, so I am telling you, there is no time for learning. So if there is a proper training, then people will learn the OpenFOAM and all. And another thing is the support issue, as earlier previous speakers mentioned, that if you are stuck with some problem, you just call the ANSYS guy or the COMSOL guy. They will directly support you. But here we are having these open source forums, this for the CFDs and all. So you just need to post, I'm facing this issue, and someone else will answer it. This is the thing. So, but the problem here is we are facing now. Let's say we are giving some solution to some client, which we are solving in ANSYS or Fluent, ANSYS Fluent, or let's say COMSOL and all, and they don't have the access or don't have the license. How can they open the results and check if they want to verify whether we are correct or wrong? So the thing is, now we are gradually shifting towards this OpenFOAM. So we have started few works on the gasification modeling and some this what I say, this biopharma manufacturing. We need to have some reactors. So bioreactors modeling and all, we started with this OpenFOAM. So for my project also, we have used ANSYS, but from next year onwards, we are shifting towards the OpenFOAM. So the thing is, because this is the open source and anyone can verify who do not have the license of ANSYS, right? So yeah. So gradually, it is people are this OpenFOAM is in demand in industry. Day by day, I think the scenario is changing, and in upcoming days, it will be more famous.
Okay, that's good to know actually. I mean, good to know this progressive mentality of the industry and accommodating more and more open source tool. So for the interest of time, I will go to our next topic that I wanted to discuss and get views. That's the high performance computing, right? So when we go for more challenging, realistic, three-dimensional problems rather than simple benchmark problems, we need significant computing power. And so I wanted to ask, maybe we can start with Dr. Datta, that because you started a startup on this CFD industry and then you are actually solving more complex three-dimensional problems. So what do you think your need for going towards more and more efficient high performance code base? For example, do you think there is a need for going towards exascale computing? I think once we get reconnected to Dr. Datta, I can go to Saurav, that you showed that you are solving all these industrial problems which are highly multi-physics problems and complicated, and in most of the cases you are using commercial softwares. So what is your perspective from a commercial software user in a big industry like John Deere? So what do you think, do you have sufficient scalability of those commercial softwares for high performance computing?
Yeah, definitely scalability perspective, and if you talk about the industry needs, first thing, industry needs is the you have to compute the things within a particular timeline. You have a particular timeline, you have to finish within that. Actually, for just adding on the Arnab's comment, actually, if you look at for industry, any program starts, we get 4 years of time. Within that 4 years, we get 1.5 years almost for R&D, and within that 1.5 years, we have to complete all the R&D processes. So that's why, of course, high performance computing is highly essential. Nowadays we are shifting towards the GPU. Of course, for multi-phase flow, multi-physics GPU is not enabled that good still now, and we are working still now for evaluating the GPU performance for of the multi-physics problems, actually. But still now we are working on the these multi-physics problems. We are working on the spray modeling or CFD coupling. We are still working on the CPU side, and yeah, of course, some sort of case for I will say most towards a linear problem in the DEM side majorly. Whenever we look at the DEM side, it's mostly linear, not non-linearity. There is no non-linearity like CFD that much. So we are scaling the physics towards the GPU side, actually. So some of the cases we are using GPU, some of the cases we are still using multiple CPU cores to get it resolved using high performance computing. So CFD, yeah, single phase flow if we talk about, or CHT model, any kind of heat transfer model, industry level model, even we get overnight, over day, steady flow analysis. But for any kind of complex multiphysics, still we are not good enough. Even some of the cases on the scalability part of that, or runtime perspective if you talk about. But yeah, some of the cases we have started using GPU, or some of the cases we have started high performance computing. We are using AWS solver for that, actually. So that part we are working on.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Coming back to Dr. Datta, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I got the question, I just couldn't answer that time.
Sure.
It's a very good question actually, Dr. Bose, because Simulagence is a startup and it started very moderately. Well, I will be very honest here. Basically, when the client says that we have to do with we have a proprietary software at our own and which our R&D guys are using, I don't complain, to be honest, because I know the CFD, I know the story behind. So I can adapt myself. At the end, I have to earn revenue and I have to keep paying taxes. And the other question is that regarding the server, so there is two things here as well. Typically, the companies provide their own server requirements for me. So in that case, either it could be an Amazon server, as I think the speaker just now mentioned, or it could be their own high-performance computing station. So basically, these are all very confidential projects, and I don't even have the opportunity to do it in my system. However, all the European projects that we are participating in, I am putting there as one of the capacity building, as well as to have my own, high performance computers and better serving servers. So in that case, I will be doing all this project. Actually, it's included in the budget. So actually, I will be working on all those using open source, of course. And this is, I think the push has to always come from the administration or the government in this case. So the EU is trying to push, as you are maybe already aware, that EU is trying to push everything in open source these days. So at the end, probably this will eventually trickle down to the companies. I think this is how it will happen. And also the other thing, whenever I'm building a company, I didn't do many projects actually, but whatever I have done, I've already mentioned, if you do it in OpenFOAM, it will be less, at least 20,000 euros less, and then the company has a chance to choose what it will be. So I'm very open with them myself, not just OpenFOAM, I also open with them, saying that if you ask less money, I will. So that was one interesting that we got from Paul Corporation. They said that, yeah, that seems very interesting. We have a high-hanging fruit, so not the low-hanging fruit, the high-hanging fruit. That project, we will give it to in OpenFOAM because the money is less. We don't know when it will be commercialized, the idea. So even companies are now started to think, and as Dr. Gupta rightly mentioned, it's at the end, we have to change the mindset, and the changing has to be done first from us, like us, like you, me, everyone, academia, the startups. We need to tell them that, hey guys, can we do it in OpenFOAM or can we do it in open source? Why just OpenFOAM, open source? There is Phoenix, for example, which is the version of COMSOL, which is open source. And these are the things actually timed. It will take time. I know that at the end, we will reach our destination, I think, at the end.
Sure.
So yeah.
It's a very good point.
Just
I mean,
very
that is a good point that we need to take care of. I mean, for example, University of Birmingham, all the undergraduate CFD courses, they, as of now, they teach using ANSYS. And and that is because of user friendliness, and they think that one third year undergrad student who has like 10 courses, and if they have to learn CFD and within the limited stipulated period of semester, they do not have time to get over the learning curve of OpenFOAM, which I'm trying to prove them wrong. But then how do I make a case? It's exactly the same thing. I'm trying to make a business case to them that how much money do you save annually if we implement OpenFOAM to teach all the undergraduate CFD courses throughout the university. And it's a big school in the UK. So you can imagine how many number of students. So as Dr. Datta mentioned, that when we do a project, we have to do a cost estimation. So can we make a business case that if we use open source tools, of course, we know better, we know completely in depth what is happening, but apart from that, everything comes down to money, right? So how much money we can save in terms of the cost of licenses. So very good points, insightful points to think about. I think the next topic I want to go into is that, as some of you mentioned, that the responsibility, which is very much important factor here. So, and I was surprised to know that the commercial support system is so good. As you are telling that if you have a wish list, next day morning I want to add the complexity, and you call and whatever commercial software team, and is it a reality that you get the solution immediately within couple of hours, or what? Yeah, can you share your views on that?
Yeah, well, see, if we are as an engineer, we are making a mistake setting up the CFD problem, then the solution may come quickly that you are doing this wrong, you need to do it this way. But if it's actually not capable, and if it's a feature that they need to implement, that's going to take about 6 months to an year, which is not even tracked. Okay, they just on a support ticket, it's just promised they are working on it. It may come out in the next version, or it is in testing. It may come down 2 versions down the line.
Right.
So yeah, it's not as quick.
Yeah. So coming to that point, if we focus on you guys, right, the startups, the companies in India. So, and if you are trying to percolate into these open source tools and try to implement or use it, for example, one is GUI option, which already FOSSEE team is working, and there is a collaboration, and we are trying to go there. Of course, it's not very easy. Okay, we need very much skilled experts in that particular domain to do that. So now, from the FOSSEE team, what can we do, or how can we kind of collaborate with you if you are trying to implement open source tools or OpenFOAM into your startups, in your companies? What do you think should be the way for us to help you, or how do you, I mean, what is the way you think is good for you to approach us? And we cannot promise anything because it's a limited resource. We work with few student interns, but I mean, it will be good to know from all of you, even including those who are there online, that what is, if you have any proposition in this regard.
I have few proposition, I think, but I don't know how much implementable is there. So as Manish has rightly pointed out, the MSME sector and the low they have no idea about this, or they cannot afford to begin with, at least to create an impact. We need not to start with the biggest clients. We can start with the small clients. We can offer them, and their resistance would be less because they have no background idea. So through FOSSEE, we can start offering, so the industry partners can connect to the MSME. And they can offer that, okay, solving your problem through OpenFOAM, which will be cheaper for us also, cheaper for you also, can improve your life. That way, if we can start bringing the people to this, some of them may give the small amount, some of them may not give any amount, but at least bring some problems to from the industry to the academia. Student can learn based on those actual real life problems, and those who are able to give money, that will be able to sustain to some extent the operation of FOSSEE and this part. Another thing is, some bigger client, they can actually ask for we can make FOSSEE as a central place. Okay, you want solution to your problem, these are the companies enlisted with us or the startups. If you have any option to preference, or we can leave it to open to all of them to respond. Those who can meet your specification criteria can do in this payment basis. So that this ecosystem needs to be brought, that can work out.
Yeah, I would like to highlight a root cause of this problem. This is, overview solution, but I would like to highlight a root cause. So many of you know the ANSYS. How do you know the ANSYS? I know, I'm telling you. So what exactly the cause of this problem is, the ANSYS approach the institute, and how CFD engineer is built from the institute, right? He's get to know from the CFD from the institute. And that time, if you give something OpenFOAM introduce as a start, right? Then only he can, we can introduce OpenFOAM, because ANSYS, what they do, they give, the free software. And once your student get addicted to the free software, then simply they play the game. That's how it is, how the business works. So what we can do here is we can startly implement the OpenFOAM to the institute level. So student will get, because at the end, OpenFOAM we will handle. The student who is learning in the institute, right? So he should know the OpenFOAM first. So institute is the first cause where you can, break down your root cause. Second is, as I told, industry, right? The small MSMEs. Here you cannot directly approach them. You also need to, show them some biscuits in terms of, let's say, one month free software or the free service. That's how the business works on the ground levels. So that's what my...
Right. Yeah, I mean, very good points. One, I completely agree with you, and I have a proposal, and we will discuss and we'll see. So we already have case study project in OpenFOAM. We can start something on industry case studies, where we, with the help of you, who are actually working in the real field using CFD, you can approach us if you know some of the SMEs, or from your end, if you have a challenge that you want to test out, and approach us with a problem statement. We can then find the best resource to solve that and make a case study and highlight it from FOSSEE website. Okay, so that is something I was thinking that, of course, it will take time to build on it, and we do not guarantee success of it, because we do not know whether we will have sufficient skilled resource to solve that problem, because that might be a very, I mean, if we ask a big player, they will come up with a problem which is a 2 years project, right, which needs to be funded. So, but immediately we can break it down, and we can actually do summer projects, semester long internships with the students to solve those problems as a balance of academic problems and industry problem, and can start with few industry case studies per year and see how it is going. And as you said, the company, if they are happy to fund the student for that, there are so many talented students who need some stopgap till they get the correct job after their graduation, and FOSSEE tries to support them through internship and train them, increase their employability. And the industries, we are very much open to the industries to come forward and fund that student to solve or try to attempt solving the challenges you are facing. Coming to the institute level, as we have already many projects, so we are doing research lab migrations, we are approaching all the particularly regional scale universities, and we have many faculty partners including Professor Dheeraj, and we have Professor Naren and Professor Hari Krishnan, so I'll go to them in a moment. So we are trying to reach out to particularly to the regional institutes where there are lack of resources, so that the faculties can be trained, that the faculties can start doing some research using open source tools, because they do not have sufficient resource to buy ANSYS licenses, etc. So we already have these things, and we already which is not very active at this moment, but we can also reinforce our textbook companion project, where we can we can motivate students to solve their CFD textbooks problems using open source tools, and then so that, create that resource list, which can be then given to the institutes, as you mentioned, for training. Like it can be a resource list for the faculties to train their students CFD using open source tools. So these are some ideas. So can I ask Professor Naren and Professor Hari Krishnan, if you are with us, can you please switch on your camera, and probably you can kind of tell us a bit more about these lab migrations or the activities that you have been involved with FOSSEE.
Yes, thank you very much. So far, as I said, I'm in the academic field. So I'm working with FOSSEE for last 5 years as a student intern, like not student intern, as a student who submitted case study project in 2009 when I was doing PhD. Then as a faculty, I started mentoring also students. So mainly what we essentially do is through internships, mainly summer internships, we will give certain cases, we will give certain research papers in which the students will be within 2 months or 3 months time, they will be validating certain part of the research papers, etc. Okay. So basically, we are actually giving certain skills related to OpenFOAM to students through these activities. So along with that, I would like to share a few things. So as far as I understood from this discussion, we have people from different varieties of industries, starting from automobile, rail, ship, air, space, and biopharma processing industries, etc. What I understood here is basically the industries which are having fun, they are ready, they are happy with commercial software. But those small startups or those who are lacking fund, they will be planning for open source alternatives, right? So what Gupta was cited was very interesting fact. Whenever they look for people, skilled people, unfortunately we don't find skilled people. Let's say some small company want a person who is having expertise in open source software, then we rarely find good candidates. Out of 1,000, he was able to find only 1 or 2, right? So what we can do here is we can identify, along with the help of industry, as a FOSSEE team and academic institute can identify certain trust areas, as he was cited, industrial case studies. With the help of industry, we can give some certain trust areas in which we can train students, or we can make case studies, we can do research migration projects, etc. in those trust areas, and we can make skilled people in that area such a way that when companies look for resources in that direction, they can easily get good quality students. So to cite one simple example, as Dr. Joseph was citing in his presentation, they were doing IR class, various simulations related to IRS, etc. So there are certain things like ship maneuvering, all those things. So they essentially do, we can give some certain items which are related to, as he said, certain problem statement he shared. So similarly, each industry person or each industries, they can share certain standard benchmark problems. Rather than focusing on very academic or pure research problems, we can give research statements or research problems for interns in that direction. That will be much more better. So within, as Sanjandan was citing, within 1 or 2 years, we will be able to make skilled people who are having good skills in OpenFOAM. Slowly, we can say industry will be also ready to take those people. That's my take on this.
Thanks, Hari Krishnan. It's a lot of insightful points. I think I'll go to Advait. You wanted to share something.
Right. I just want one very specific help, because I think if there is any community of OpenFOAM users as big, then it has to be FOSSEE, relatively speaking. Despite that, if you could put on your website or in some manner, all the potential OpenFOAM job seekers, students who know OpenFOAM and they are looking for jobs in the field of OpenFOAM. Now, many of them will learn OpenFOAM as a matter of fact, but they will not end up doing OpenFOAM for the rest of their lives. They will end up doing the same ANSYS work. But then there are still people who want to continue their careers in the field of OpenFOAM. So my company personally would benefit heavily if that database we can access of students who know OpenFOAM with proper marking, beginner, intermediate, advanced. And I think IT Bombay or FOSSEE team is a perfect place to judge what is the level of expertise there.
Right. I think the one certification that FOSSEE provides when a student completes a semester-long intern with one of our faculty member or faculty support team. I personally have guided around 6 to 8 semester-long interns, and they're more on. I started. We have to take a leap from the very basic to complex problem, and I think these, I mean, I'm fortunate to work with these talented undergrad students who are actually in the right motivation to try these things. I mean, we do not be afraid to get failure, get errors, get whatever, but we want to try some challenge and try see if we can do it. But as you said, I mean, those kind of categorization is where it's a very management heavy job, right? So we don't have resource
no categorization. If you can just at least
so I think the
students,
if they produce a certification, let's say they have worked with us for a semester long project or a summer internship, I think that's a kind of tag that you can understand that they have worked on an OpenFOAM heavy project with one of our colleagues. So that kind of certification, I think, is making change. As Professor Kannan said, that with those certifications, people are getting internship, people are getting academic positions outside, etc. So I think that can really help you. But personally, yeah, we can advertise your openings on our FOSSEE website. So that's not very difficult. So yes, we can do that. Thank you. Yeah, coming to Dr. Datta, did you want to share something?
Yeah, hello, thanks. Well, Dr. Advait Gupta already summarized those points and also the other distinguished members here. Just I want to give, because of the fact that, after staying 15 years in Europe, I came to a very interesting country, Turkey, and I see a very interesting environment here. Let me share something from here, which might be even helpful to some extent for our country, India. What we do here is basically they're trying in Turkey, on the record, they're trying to develop a talent pool, a pool of talented students, and they're grading them as per their competence levels. So there is a certification program where they are trying to grade them at intermediate, proficient, middle proficient. So these are the talented pools where database exists. And companies like TUSAID, for example, or Havelsan, Aselsan, Armelsan, these are all national companies. Turkey is very advanced in drone manufacturing and technology. You might already be aware of that from the Bayraktar group. They are all hiring people from this talent group, and this is the job of us academicians. Currently, I'm in Turkey, so it is our job to develop this talent pool and provide it to the national level, number one. Number two, Technofest. I think you are aware of that. This is almost 10 years now. Turkey is organizing Technofest. It is world-class program, amazing. It happens across the whole country. Every year, particular cities organize this Technofest, and you cannot imagine the enthusiasm of open science in that. Open science, not just OpenFOAM, open science, and it is all reflected starting all the way from their school level. So this is the way this country is progressing, and I think it is interesting to just share this idea. I'm not saying to copy, just to get some inspiration from that. Number three, and that's my personal experience, is what are we trying to achieve in OpenFOAM? We are trying to achieve the fact that we can handle the inside codes of ANSYS or CFX or anything else, which we cannot see, right? Those are hidden from us. So while we are achieving the inside story, we are missing the outside story. Outside story means the user friendliness. We are missing the user friendliness. What we need to do, and I think FOSSEE is working on that, but it needs to work more. Sorry for this, but I have to be a little bit critical here about FOSSEE. It has to speed up the process of the mirroring of ANSYS, or in that case, the mirroring of these commercial licenses. The more they mirror, people, old people like us, I consider myself old comparing to all the youngsters out there in my university. I will be also using more and more ANSYS because it mirrors my study, what I did with Dr. Ranade many years back. So this is the whole point. We are working to show that we can look inside the codes, but we don't have the reflection of the things that we have in mind. So there is this missing gap. I personally, this is my point. And from Turkey, let us learn to develop a talent pool, a database, a proper database, probably from the government, probably from FOSSEE, doesn't matter, but with their very specific competence levels mentioned there. Organize Technofest, as I think you are mentioning that you did this Olympiad, or I think Dr. Gupta mentioned Olympiad. Very interesting thing. Technofest is an idea. And as a startup, I am ready to even pay internship fee to the students to get into working with me, but of course with an NDA sign, because I don't want to disclose this to the outer world. And that much of that much of things, when I'm ready to pay that money, why will the students? I'm not getting students. Just like Dr. Gupta, I'm not getting students. While I have a band of Turkish students coming with me. Hojam, I can work with you. Hojam, I can work with you. Hojam, professor. Hojam, I can work with you. And they are all really super smart guys, The only thing is that their English is a problem. Where in India, English is our advantage. So look how we can even go beyond the situation. So in that case, let us get this opportunity. Try to build up a pool of talented students, really talented, within inverted code. Something like Technofest. And of course, the national strategy to mirror ANSYS as much as possible, so that even old guys like us also start, TCS, Mr. Chakraborty from TCS, we all start, okay, forget about ANSYS, we all work because we remember the picture of ANSYS through the OpenFOAM. That's all, my 3 points. Thank you.
Right, so I think we are ending almost to the end of the event, but I'll go to Saurav. Saurav, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I just like to cover a little bit on the industry collaboration. When you are talking about the industry collaboration and the opportunities, how we can collaborate about the industry with the industry and how we can resolve critical problems. First, let's target the something like low hanging fruits. What I have seen actually from my past experience, actually, many people give and try in OpenFOAM, but they have started with a big problem and high hanging fruits, but ultimately the entire journey got stopped actually. So first start with the low hanging fruit, and if we definitely have the GUI, there are many other GUI like for OpenFOAM, I majorly use the lights. So lights aesthetics is a tool we use sometimes for GUI. So if we FOSSEE can develop some GUI which is user friendly, I think same in the same line with Dr. Abhishek Datta. So if we can bring the GUI and we can tackle the low hanging fruits first, we can win the confidence of the industry. Then only we can step up and slowly we can move ahead. So that's a part I think need to look at. Maybe initially let's tackle the low hanging fruits and get the confidence. That's my point. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, a lot of insights and lot of things to introspect from our end. Yes, please.
So yeah, one more point just to end is if we take on some industrial problem, then our duration we should increase for the students, because 2 and 3 months is a little bit less, I guess. So it should be one complete semester, 6-month project.
We do semester long and year long co-PIs for the entire thesis. We do it with many IITs. So we are open for that.
Yes, sure. And I mean, even we have some semester long projects, even FOSSEE too.
Yeah, but that is for 3 months.
Yes. So I think, yeah, I mean, we can discuss it in a more in-depth level depending on the availability of the funding. We are all limited by resources. So that's the only thing, because we pay the interns in some sense, right? But Yeah, so that's a good suggestion and we will surely ponder on it.
And one more point is that sometimes industry is not very open to putting our solution online. So that should be an open culture should be there from the industry to adapt.
Yeah,
Because
that's where we need more conversation. So the industry should not think as that we are looking to solve their problem for themselves as a consultant. So doing a consultancy is a one thing which I can do individually myself, right? And the industry, many industries is ready to pay me consultancy fee. Of course, with my university affiliation, the university takes its overhead. But then again, the motivation here is not to engage in those activities as a consultant from FOSSEE, but to solve those challenges in a more inclusive manner. Of course, there will be limitations like here all in your expert talks. When we invited you, we wanted to make sure that you do not share any confidential things of your company, but you can share your broad perspective of it, where in which direction computational fluid dynamics is going. So for example, I mean, we can, with the talk, with the dialogue with the industry, they might not give us the actual CAD geometry, or they might not give us the actual know-how how they are designing, but they can bring it down to a simple modified case study which can then help them to build on, right? And which can directly show what will be the expected application of that know-how. So, and of course, outside India, as Professor Datta mentioned, that we have the culture of signing an NDA, no disclosure agreement, which is to build on trust between the academic institution and industry. We have to talk through it, how IIT system works, and I think a similar mechanism should be also there. So if some students are directly working with industry, IIT Bombay as a FOSSEE can sign NDA with them so that the trust builds on, and etc. So there are multiple mechanisms, but the way is to not to act as a consultant. So my view, particularly, of course, everybody's perspective is different. I think as far as I understand, Professor Kannan also shares the same view that FOSSEE project is not a consultant to individual industry. So we are here to promote the open source knowledge, and it is not basically exploiting open source tools to make their own in-house code, and I am completely against that view. Very much openly. So if it is open source, it has to be open source, it has to be free, it has to be taught free, and that's why this project in place, and that's why we are here. So I think with that, we are towards the end. I just want to kind of give a hint that most of you may not know that we organized the first UK Indian OpenFOAM symposium in last summer. Which was very successful, and the first type of gathering of like-minded people. Mostly it was academic in the first place, but we are discussing with multiple faculty members in India in different IITs and FOSSEE, of course. So if it happens again this year sometime, it will be hybrid, but I would very much would like you to participate and come with your own views from industry, present to us, present to the students, and then these dialogues can go on further. So with that, I think I will close this panel discussion here, and thank you for all your insightful comments, and we need a lot of time personally to reflect on that and think about that, and we can discuss some major take home messages from here in our first advisory board meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Chandan, and all the panelists.